How's it? Hi on YouTube, Peter here, your Ginger Geordie Geek. Welcome back to the channel for another This Is My. If this is your first time watching the show, this is basically the show where we sit and chat with someone from the collectible community, whether it's comic books, toys, 1/6 scale, whatever it may be, and we'll learn a little bit about them whilst also having a bit of a nosy around their collection. So tonight, I am very, very pleased to say this is my guest, Shane from 1/6 Figure Focus. Hello, Shane.
All right, Peter, what's the story?
Not
Thanks
bad,
very much
mate.
for having me on.
No problem at all. No problem. Really looking forward to this, Shane. Obviously, I met you. I've been aware of your channel for a long time because you're a big 1/6 collector. But we got a chance to meet when we were both at Star Wars Celebration earlier this year. So that was a nice event. I enjoyed that.
We
probably
first
didn't celebration.
we didn't drink enough though.
Absolutely not. Never. I could never drink enough. Yeah, no. It was a fun. Was that your first time at a celebration event?
Yeah, it was my first time at a celebration event. I had been to kind of Star Wars conventions before, back in '99, in a place called the RDS in Dublin. It's like a place where they have gigs and it's convention centre.
Yeah.
They did have a kind of a Star Wars convention. It wasn't Celebration, obviously, but it was around Episode 1 was just about to release, and they had a big N1 Starfighter, like, you know, the prop they use, and had the animatronic, really dodgy looking Anakin inside it, and a lot of props and stuff. And there was one called Star Wars Expo. I happened to be in Paris, I think it was 2005. Myself and my mate were just like doing a bit of backpacking on a shoestring, and we saw, we're both big fans. We're like, all right, man, we're here, we have to, do you know what I mean? Maybe we won't drink as much tonight. We'll just go or just drink cheaper stuff. But that was pretty good. Yeah, there's a lot of props and stuff.
Lambrini, whatever, you know. No, mate. I mean, I know you're a big Star Wars fan, and I'm sure that's going to feature a little bit later on as we get into some of the bits and bobs you got to show with, but also some of the questions I'm going to ask you. So, Shane, the way this works is basically I've got some set questions which you've seen. We'll have a bit of a chat around those, and we'll show some of your bits and bobs from your collection. And you've got some stunning figures. Before we get to that, I do just want to quickly jump onto what's happened on my channel over the last few days and what's coming up. So if you'll just bear with us for a few moments. Okay. First of all, this is the menu of what we've been doing over the last week or so. We did my usual Saturday night live show where we looked at all the geeky news, what we've been buying, reading, and all that kind of jazz. And we did a little bit of a focus on aliens because of all of the shenanigans that have been happening over in the States over the last week or so. So that's an interesting show. Please do go check that out. Sunday, we did a weekly roundup of all the week's comic books. Talked a little bit about them. Monday, we did our rundown of best DC movie scenes and worst scenes. So that was good fun. And Shane, I know you're a massive Batman Dark Knight fan, so you'll be happy to hear, I'm sure, that 3 scenes from that movie featured in the show very, very heavily.
Ooh,
very
I can
well
really guess.
Yeah. Go on. Which one do you think? Give us one of them that you think might have come up.
Oh God! All right. So are you talking about So there was 3 scenes from the Dark Knight. Not the Dark Knight trilogy, specifically the Dark Knight that were
the Dark Knight. Yeah.
All right, okay. 3 scenes that featured as like 3 of the best.
Yeah.
The interrogation scene.
Yep. Spot on.
The hit me scene.
Yep. Yeah. I think that was one of them.
The pencil scene.
Absolutely. Yeah. 3. I mean, it was. It was a great.
Cheers, Peter.
So please do check that one out, guys. Last night we did a This Is My with Aaron from Empire Toys, which was a really interesting chat. Aaron's a big collector of smaller scale figures. He's got some 1/6 scale. Aaron was telling us a story, Shane, about I'm going on to one of the kind of the Facebook selling pages, and he picked up a Dark of the World Thor minting box. How much do you think he paid for it? I mean, it's not a massively popular
say
figure.
It again. What was the figure? I didn't catch the name of the figure.
Thor Dark of the World.
Oh, the Dark World figure.
Yeah.
Do you get the Thor from it?
Yeah.
I'd imagine it was cheap, was it?
Yeah. £20.
Oh my God.
£20 for a hot toy. I mean, even if you don't like the particular figure, it's worth picking up a hot toy for 20 quid, even just to sell on, I think.
Jeez,
so yeah.
You'd handy flog that for 50 quid.
Yeah.
Like, you know, make
absolutely. You did very well with that one.
Yeah.
Bit of a steal. Just to mention, I've put this out today. This is my review of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon. Went to see that with my family earlier in the week. Worth a watch, the movie. Very, very cool film. If it's 1/6 scale action figures you're into, please do think about checking out my weekly show, 1/6 scale news, that I do with Ben Crampton, the attention seeking geek. And we share kind of hosting duties on that. So one week it'll be on my channel, next week on Ben's. And that's just a few of the figure reviews I've got out at the moment.
Would you not partner up with someone who's a bit funnier, no?
Yeah, I mean, he's, I have to chiv him on. Do you know what I mean?
He needs to be warmed up. Yeah. No, Ben's a legend. He's getting close to 1,000 as well.
Yeah, he's up
in the 900s there. It's going to happen.
Yep. I think he needed 75 at last count. So yeah, if you can, please do go and support Ben, the attention-seeking geek. So yeah, a couple of figure vids there for you to watch. As ever, big shout out to the UK comic book YouTube community who do live shows. This week, Metropolis, Nerd Herd on a Wednesday, Killer Comic Show on a Thursday, and The Grey Man on a Saturday. Please do consider supporting them, because I think we all know that live shows can be quite challenging. So please do support them and make sure you jump in the chat. As I said, normally I do a Saturday show, but I'm not doing one this week because I'm out with my family. So instead, Ben, the attention-seeking geek, is going to be doing one of his It's Not That Bad shows. So please do head over to Ben's channel to check out him and James T. Keegan talking about Spider-Man 3. That's going to be an interesting one. That's going to be a challenge to defend, I think. Okay, Shane, just before we crack on, I'm going to quickly jump into the chat, see who we've got. We've got good old StreamYard as usual. Thank you for joining. We've got Agent Silver Fox. Thank you very much for joining, my friend. Always nice to see you. We've got the 6-scale Padawan. Nice to see you, Keith.
Sorry, Peter. Do you mind if I just... sorry to interrupt you there now. I know you're after
No.
Ian gets a shout-out in one of my top 10 favourite things. It's not Ian himself, but like he definitely gets a shout-out. Yeah. Also, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, of course you are. Yeah.
No, this fella's name, this is Keith. He won't come for brunch with me. He's a prick.
He won't come for brunch with you. Why the hell?
No, long story. I'm only winding him up, but I love Keith. He's a strong supporter of the channel. I'm looking forward to meeting him in person. We're going to Dublin Comic Con together. Well, not together.
Wow.
We're going to be
nice.
running
hand in hand. Yeah.
Hand
you
in
skip
hand,
through the door. That'll be lovely.
Yeah, he's playing hard to get now, though. Like, he won't come for brunch with me in the morning. So.
Yeah. We've got one of my biggest supporters, good old Fuzzy Dunlop. Thank you for joining. Not staying tonight, but no problem at all, Fuzzy. I'm sure you'll catch what on the rewind. And we've got Terry, Deadman. Thank you for joining, my friend. We've got Dr. Von Hoot. Please do check out Dr. Von Hoot's channel. He's absolutely superb and he's mental. He's absolutely bonkers. So this is a guy, Shane, who I'm not allowed to say dressed up because he tells you that it's real, but he does every show in full Mowl makeup, which is half human, half mouse, or something, half owl. Sorry. So
right.
See how he's faced on the image there. That's literally how he looks whenever he streams with you.
Gotcha. I'm definitely going to be checking that out.
Yeah.
That's a good effort.
He's a great guy. Great guy. We've got Sean. Thank you for joining, Sean, my friend. And we've got James T. Keegan. Hey, hope you're well, my friend.
James.
Okay, Shane, let's crack on. We've got 20 people watching, which is fantastic. Thank you very much, everybody. Please do hit that like and subscribe button and make sure you go over and check out 1/6 Figure Focus if you aren't already, and make sure you give him a subscribe. Right, bud. Nice, easy question to start you off. Give her a little bit about your backstory. What I'm interested, Shane, in is firstly, what got you into collecting? And then also what got you into doing this thing called YouTube? What enticed you into doing your own channel?
Okay, so I suppose earliest childhood memory, one of the earliest childhood memories was I don't know now, Keith, that I think that's in between breakfast and lunch, like, but I suppose it all started back. My collecting is rooted in my love of movies. That is a big Jack Daniels and Coke, my friend.
It's lovely. It's hitting the spot. Yeah.
So it's going to be kicking the crap out of
you. Might have to take. You take over. All right.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So look, my collecting is rooted in my love of movies, specifically movies. But recently, obviously, in the last few years, there's been some fantastic TV shows as well. But primarily, my love of film, and that began way back. It was either 1989 or 90. I'm not sure. I think it was Christmas of 1989. I remember watching the Batman, or well, just Batman 89 with my folks. I remember thinking like, I think I'm a little too young for this movie because I think this is a kind of a movie that adults would watch too. You know, because there's a few things going on that. And then I watched it when I was a bit older, and I was like, oh, all right, so that's what they were doing up there. Do you know? So with that scenes with Kim Basinger and stuff like that, you know, it wasn't all these things went over my head like, but yeah, I just loved the movie. I the only exposure to Batman I'd had was, I suppose, watching the reruns then of the 1966 Batman and Robin on TV, and I thought that was Batman. And you might have seen him in like, you know, posters, or, you know, like, I know there might be, you know, there might be little figures based on the comics and stuff like that. So knew I liked it, but 1989 was a different level. That was like, I loved this movie, and I was a kid, and I knew something about it. It was like almost, I think it's okay to like this when I'm grown up. You know, that kind of a way. It's like it kind of hit a lot of different. It's a dark enough movie with dark themes, but I think it hit like adults could enjoy it, teenagers could enjoy it, and even kids probably shouldn't be watching it, but they could enjoy it as well.
Yeah.
So one of the best memories I have, one of the warmest, fuzziest Christmas memories I have, it was either, I can't remember if it was Christmas 1989 or 90, but I got the Batwing. I think it was Kenner at the time, and the Batman and the Joker. And I still remember the Joker. Like, you get this little thing that filled up with water, and it stuck it into his back, and you pressed it, and the water squirted out through the little flower. Very cool.
Did the Batman have the Batman have the belt where you pull the belt?
He did, yeah, the little elastic belt, and it had. I still remember that the material cape. I thought it was cool the way it wasn't plastic. I remember thinking that. I remember really appreciating something about it. Was like, I think that is cool that it's actually material, it's not plastic and real world. And used to clip it onto the back of his neck. And I remember I used to take out that belt thing and hang it on stuff. But basically, like, when I was a kid, like any normal kid, like, I like toys.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I would tend to look after a lot of stuff. I have a younger sister, and she's more hard on her toys. Like, you know, she'd like lose things and break things. Whereas I used to always, like, there's still a few Transformers, I think, in my attic at home that are in reasonable good shape, considering like they're 30 years old or 35 years old or whatever. So there was, I'd look after things, you know, that kind of, for the most part. Of course, you know, a lot of stuff is gone now because I was a kid and stuff, but I just remember, I don't know what it was. I just liked having something physical that, it was like owning a piece of the movie. I felt like it wasn't enough just to watch it. I'm the type of person that, like, I like to get involved. Like, you know, when I fell in love with music when I was, you know, in my, you know, early teens, it was like, it wasn't enough to go to a gig. It wasn't enough to listen to music. I wanted to play guitar. I wanted to play in a band, you know what I mean? Or like some of my, like when I saw like snowboarding on TV, I was like, I want to do that. I don't want to watch it. I want to do it. So I like to get involved, you know? So with the collecting, I liked to have something that I could hold and go, this is mine. It's a physical thing that connects me to that IP or movie that I love. So really, I really wasn't a collector until I think maybe when they did the special editions in Star Wars and stuff started coming out then from Star Wars, like, you know, as in like the Power of the Force 3 3/4 inch, you know, because I collected them, and the first few I started to open, and I was like, I don't know what it is. There's something really cool about having them in a box. And at the time, I was like, I was a teenager then. I was like, am I too old for this? Like, is this okay to, like, shouldn't I have moved on from this? Like, and I was like, no, it's perfectly okay. You love these movies. You know, you have these little models and representations, and whatever you want to do, and it doesn't matter. And I remember at the time, like, there was definitely, like, you know, I loved Transformers as a kid. I had, you know, the Turtles and stuff like that, and, you know, all the stuff I mentioned from Batman. But over time, of course, because you're a kid, even though you look after some stuff, at the end of the day, you're a kid, and we're kind of hard on things, and we lose things, and or the stuff gets given away, and you think you moved on or whatever. But I remember always thinking in my teens, going, man, it'd be really cool to go back and get that Starscream that I had. Or, you know, or it'd be really cool to go back and get. I wondered to do an Optimus Prime that actually looks like an Optimus Prime, that's not so toyish, or like, you know, I wonder if there's like a Batman that actually, you know, looks like Michael Keaton. But I remember that's just a pipe dream. You don't do that. You're getting old now and stuff like that. So I know I'm doing a long way, but it started with 1989 for my love of movies and my love of, I wouldn't call it collecting, my love of toys as a kid.
Yeah. I think you've made some really interesting points there, Shane. Sorry, I think you've made some really interesting, because I think I'm older than you. I think I'm a little bit older than you, shall we say? But
I'll look.
Yeah. I look back at my kind of childhood, and I think you're probably of a similar kind of area where I think we had a bit of a golden age in terms of some of the movies that came out. You had your Batmans, your RoboCops, your Terminator, Alien. These
Predator.
films that have, Predator. These films that have stayed the test of time. Do you know what I mean? And I think
Yeah.
that's what really hooked a lot of people into.
Real movies
Yeah, yeah,
with
yeah,
practical
yeah,
effects because there was no CGI.
yeah,
And you know, I'll just add on to that. My favorite director now, it's it's not James Cameron or it's not George Lucas or you know, it's not Spielberg. It's actually Christopher Nolan, and the reason is
yeah,
not just because of the Dark Knight trilogy, but because he uses practical effects when he can, and there's a time and a place for CGI, and I love that. You know, because I'm always going back to the Stan Winston and the James Cameron, the practical
yeah.
effects and stuff like that. But we did. You're right. You're absolutely right. The golden age,
Have
80s.
you just you mentioned in there? Have you seen Oppenheimer yet?
Oh yeah, yeah,
So
loved
I
it.
mean, I came out of that, and just a bit of a plug. Reviews with Rich next week. No, sorry, week after we're going to be talking about Oppenheimer. I think.
And
Um,
Rich is close
I,
to 1,000 subs as well.
yeah, he's a breath away, isn't he? But I came out of that, and I said to Alona, my wife, it would have been so easy to have focused on the bomb, loads of special effects, and yes, you get a bit of that. But this is just a story about character and about the individual and the life he had. I just thought it was incredible that he didn't make it a big hoo-ha about the bomb itself. Do you know what I mean? Because other
Yeah.
directors had half-hour scene of that explosion. You know? But yeah, I thought it was
Yeah.
stunning.
Yeah.
So
And
what about YouTube and Shane? What got you into YouTube?
YouTube. The simplest answer is I actually love editing.
Yeah,
I've always been a collector. I'll be a collector. I was a collector long before YouTube. I'll be a collector long after. I've always been to movies and TV. I, I'm, you know, I have an interest in photography and videography, but I'm a better editor, and I enjoy editing probably a lot more than actually photography or videography.
yeah,
A lot of people find editing frustrating. I think it's a bit magic. I just love it. Like I love how you can just tweak a sound effect here or there, you know, reverse your clip, speed up your clip, chop and change things and add a bit of humor, whatever. So I like the
yeah,
process of editing. If you don't like editing, maybe YouTube it mightn't be for you. Like, so I
yeah,
like that, and but the main reason is, well, shout out to Six Scale Scavengers in the chat, Brian Fontaine. Like, I wanted to be able to connect with other collectors. Like, we've been here for 10 minutes, and I've already mentioned that, I love music,
yeah,
I love mountain biking, I love snowboarding, I love to exercise, I love to run, I like to go out for a few pints. I have a lot of hobbies. I'm very thankful, I'm very privileged to have those hobbies.
yeah,
None of my friends collect. For all my hobbies, I could go, yeah, I can go for a run with Steve, or I can
yeah,
go mountain biking with Megan, or, I can go snowboarding with Kieran, but there's no one I can bounce ideas about collecting off.
yeah.
And I wanted to connect with other content creators and other collectors who are passionate about collecting and movies and TV and not come off as a massive nerd.
Yeah. So I mean, again, interesting stuff there, Shane, because I'm exactly the same. And let's be honest. When I was a younger man, and yourself as well, I'm sure, comic books, superheroes, Batman, even it wasn't cool. Do you know what I mean? That was.
No,
I think the Marvel universe has kind of made it a bit more acceptable.
I
But
think Geek Chic kind of took off in the noughties.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely, yeah. Um, and because of the job I do, and I think you're the same, I don't necessarily talk about my geekiness in those kind of areas. So I wanted to do exactly the same. I wanted to talk to people, and it's interesting what you said about editing. I'd never done any editing before I'd started this YouTube malarkey, and I find it so relaxing, so rewarding, learning a new skill. All those kind of things. It's yeah, that's been a real surprise for me doing YouTube. Just want to quickly jump to the chat before we'll get you to show us some of your impressive collection. We've got Ryan. Nice to see you, Ryan. Thank you very much for joining. We've got Agent Silver Fox saying he's on hand if you need a safety net. I don't believe that. I've seen you out on a night out, mate. I know.
He's some man to dance.
Yeah.
Fox
And
by
we've got
name,
Brian.
fox by nature.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Brian, thank you very much for joining, mate. Always a pleasure. We've got Six Scale Padawan is saying we're
Represent.
spoiled for choice now. Yeah, great memories. Regret renting a single. Oh God, renting movies.
I
Yeah,
love
I
that.
used to love that. Yeah, going to the
Love that.
video shop and getting your fix. Yeah. Um, what shirt has Shane got on? That's his Dopu. Yeah.
So this is
Yeah.
Six Scale Scavengers Day One pre-order shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll
Yeah.
be on with the Scavengers later on. At midnight our time, which should be
Wow.
7 p.m. East Coast, and I believe 4 p.m. West Coast. So yeah,
Good
looking
stuff.
forward to that.
Good stuff. We've got Chris from Cool Collects. Thank you for joining, Chris. Same here. I prefer the edit over the recording. Yeah. Um, Dr. Von Hoot. Von Hoot, you'll not be able to edit with those kind of claw-like hands you've got. So yeah, I'm surprised that that's not up your street. We've got Simon. Come on, guys. Simon, thank you for joining, bud. Okay. And Dr. Von Hoot, yeah, Dr. Von Hoot will tell anyone that he will that will listen that he's a nerd. Dr. Von Hoot was telling us on Saturday night he got a very nice act of kindness sent through of some, I'll get the name wrong. What do you call them? The wrestling masks that the Mexican wrestlers wear? I can't remember what they're called. The Lucia masks or something. Anyway, like the full-on wrestling mask. And he wore it to work. Just wandered in to work wearing his mask.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't got the balls for that. Okay, Shane, let's have a look at some of the stuff you've got in your collection. And this is the first image you sent. But tell me a little bit about this.
So yeah, that's the setup behind me there. So I've got 5 IKEA details. It's pretty much the kind of go-to standard. Although I believe they're discontinued and
Yeah,
they're being replaced at the moment by something
yeah,
similar, more improved, I believe as well. But these are what I have. At the moment, that's the setup. I wouldn't rule out going to module cases eventually, but I think if I did, I would miss the look of the details. I think it's a very clean look. I like the way it's glasses throughout. I've got them rised up there on 3 different calyx. They're each 2
yeah,
hole IKEA calyx, and of course they have a bit of storage as well, some box inside there. The lights are Luke lights, so each of the 5 details is with a set of Luke lights with the cool white light look. They come in yellow as well, but I wanted the white light look.
yeah,
The top shelf is original trilogy. I suppose the middle shelf is, I suppose, some of my favorite movies. I have I can't. Yeah, so the first 2, I've obviously changed the setup in between here, but
yeah, yeah,
the second row you have the inert Joker, obviously Dark Knight's massive. Usually I'd have the DX19 on the left there and then the jail cell version here next to me, but I have moved out
yeah,
the DX19, and you'll see why in the next few photos. In the middle, then I've got my favorite Iron Man suit, the Mark 6. It's next to the Mark 1 as well, and they're lit up with fusion reactors as well. So I've tried my best to hide the wires by cable tied them with grey cable ties down the grey aluminium what would you call it,
yeah,
support of the details. And you've got the T800 and DX13, and then Robocop. So that's they're arguably some of my favorite movies. The second, the row down below, then second from the bottom, that's pretty much my favorite characters from my favorite episodes of The Mandalorian, with the exception
yeah,
of Loki on the right. He's a bit of a placeholder at the moment. I've got that space is going to be for Cad Bane, and then the bottom shelf it's a bit random, but I have Bespin Luke right there in the middle. I actually had to put Bespin Luke down there. It was just the kind of length of the cable for the CCFL I had, and there was a few different reasons there. On the left, of course, I've got Thomas Shelby. I've got Cable and Deadpool, and then on the right, I've got the Mark 47 and my favorite Spider-Man, the Homecoming Deluxe. So yeah, look, what I like about it is obviously I like a clean look. I don't like to stuff a bunch of figures into one detail. And if you like to do that, it's your collection. Do what you want. For me personally, I prefer a bit of a cleaner look. Like, you let the figures to breathe. And one thing I like about it is I can come into the room and I just use an app on my phone to control a smart plug. So one click and the Luke lights come on. Those are the lights
yeah,
for the details, and the 4 different CCFLs come on. Bespin Luke's base lights up. The eye for the DX13 lights up, and then the Mark 6 and the Mark 1. So in recent times, I put a lot of effort into wiring up the CCFLs and fusion
yeah,
reactor. So I'm very just before I move on, like I think gratitude has to be the attitude. Do you know, if these are expensive pieces, and
Yeah.
you know, it's even to have one or two of these, like you're probably privileged to. When I look behind me, I do have an overwhelming feeling of gratitude. I kind of feel like a spoiled
Yeah.
brat looking at it sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
at
Yeah.
the same time, you work hard to save up and stuff like that, and put a lot of time into making it look the way you want. And if you're not getting that dopamine hit from your collection, because let's face it, like YouTube or not, 99% of the time, the only person looking at this is me. And if
Yeah.
you're not getting the dopamine hit every time you come into the room, then it's
Yeah.
pointless. Like, so.
I mean, I think the one thing that always stands out whenever I look at your collection, Shane, is how it does look very. I know you get this comment a few times, but it looks very clean. It looks crisp, which I love. You know what I mean? You are far better than I am at getting things like the lighting set up. I'm rubbish at stuff like that. You know, I did use one of your videos as kind of my template, as it were, in terms of the IKEA. I can't remember what they're called. What are the bottom shelves called again? You mentioned
The Calyx, the risers.
yeah. So I bought some of those and put my
Yeah.
my cabinets on top because I
Good
think
stuff.
that just elevates it. You know, it makes
It does, because the
yeah.
bottom shelf is essentially not on the floor. Then it gives them a
Yeah.
bit more respect. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Your your fusion lightsabers. I know you've got an image later on, and I'll tell you a little story because I bought one of those.
Who'd
So
you
I'll
go
tell
with?
you a little. It was someone on. It was someone from Instagram. I can't remember his name now, but I
Art
broke
15
it.
custom? No.
No, I don't think that. But I've broke it with my
Oh,
big
no.
fat chubby fingers, trying to move it into Luke's hand, and the entire thing shattered in my hand.
Damn.
So yeah,
Yeah.
rather irritated by that. But yeah, stunning blades. I will get more, I think, because I've got a few I want to pick up, I think. Okay, very nice collection. We've got lots of people here commenting. We're going to see more of your collection as we go through, obviously. Adam is saying amazing collection. Yep, absolutely, mate. Ryan, beautiful collection. And Dead Man, less is more. Yeah, absolutely. I have seen. I'm not gonna say any names, Shane. Not that the big YouTubers watch my channel, but there's a very prominent YouTuber who quite often does a 1/6 scale tour, and it fills us with anxiety because it's just so jam packed and squashed in, and you can't actually differentiate the figures. Do you know what I mean? There's that many crammed in, and yes, it's lovely to have the figures, and you collect as you say, as you like, but for me, you do the figures a bit of a disservice if you can't see them in their entirety, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but I suppose if you look at it, there's different styles of content creator as well, whereas I'm only buying the things that I love, or I'm nearly like 99% sure I love, whereas other content creators, they're probably doing you a service, because if you're kind of like, if they're getting everything and you're 50-50 on the figure, they take the hit and get that figure, and you look at it, you're like, no, it's not for me. The head sculpt's not as good. They probably save you 250 quid, like, you know what I mean? So like, it's a skill kind of packing them all in as well, making it look like a big movie poster as well. But different strokes for different folks. That's all it is.
I mean, with my collection, I've got, much like yours, mine's a bit busier because I haven't got the IKEA cabinets. I've got some older cabinets. I've got a lot of them in what I would class as museum poses, but then I've got an Avengers Endgame scene, and I've got my Spider-Man collection where they're in dynamic poses and they look like they're fighting each other and things like that, just to try and spread it and mess it up a little bit. Next question, Shane. Now, this is the one I get a bit of grief from, because most people who I do the show with, absolutely, most people who I do the show with say, oh, I can't pick one, but I'm going to ask you to try, all right? Favorite movie? What is your favorite film of all time?
That is a very, obviously I can see why that's a very, very, very difficult question, but I'm not going to be one of those rule breakers. So I finish up all my, when I do the Visions live streams and I interview different collectors, I finish it up with what are your 3 fire figures? If your house is on fire and you've got time to save 3 figures. And some people they try to grab 2 packs and vehicles, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to play your game. Like, the thing about movies is, that's like picking your favorite ice cream or your favorite flavor, your favorite food. You know what I mean? Like, who doesn't love a good fillet steak with vegans? Who doesn't love, pizza or some nachos or like, a decent burrito? There's so many different things. But if I had to pick, I'd have to go back and I'd pick The Dark Knight by Christopher Nolan. But I mean, if you'd given me a bunch of other, if you'd say a top five, then it'd be different. Like, it could be like
Yeah.
Terminator 2 would be in the running, Aliens would be in the running, the first Terminator movie, the first Aliens, the first RoboCop, Fight Club, blah blah blah. I think if you'd asked me to pick one, I'm gonna go with the Dark Knight. But you could ask me a different day, and I might say a different movie.
Well, I mean, I don't want to say you're predictable, Shane, but I kind of guessed that would come. So I've lumped some of your collection into. I think you sent us a couple of images of things related to the Dark Knight. So tell us a little bit about. I mean, first of all, that poster is stunning.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about this.
I was very specific when I was picking my 10 images I sent you. I know I sent you a few honorable mentions as well, but the 10 images were, I want to give people an idea of like, what the collection room is like and what I'm into. But I also wanted to pick pieces that have a little bit of a backstory. So I think for most of these pieces, there's a backstory. So when I turned 30, it's 10 years ago now since I turned 30. I'll be 40 in November. So when I turned 30, a really good friend of mine called Paul Fleming, we went to college together, and he actually, I saw The Dark Knight, I think it was either 2 or 3 times in the cinema, but I definitely saw it twice. The second time I went with him, and like he's a big movie fan, he had good taste, and he loved the movie as well, and even like the lead up to it, like we were kind of looking forward to it, and he was telling me about like things he heard about it and what the director based his muse and what comic books he used, and I'm pretty sure he was the one who told me to go away and read Watchmen. And it was one of the best recommendations I've ever got. So you probably already know now he's good stock. So he for my 30th birthday, I was living in Dublin, and he arrived over to the house, and he just had this one of those the things for the poster holders, the kind of cylinder.
Oh yeah, like a tube.
And he goes, here, that's for your 30th there. And this is actually one of the official posters. It's actually double-sided. Right, so it had another image on the other side as well. I can't remember if it was the same or it was another image, but I think it was actually the I can't really remember. I think it might have been the same, but the font was reversed or something like that. But it was one of the official movie posters. He bought it for like $20, something like that. I think they're going for a couple $100 now, but I held on to it, and I at the time I was living in one house, and I think I'd lived in about 3 or 4 different apartments and stuff like that. Held on to it, never hung it up. Like he actually had it. Actually, I tell you, I tell a lie. He didn't have the cylinder. It was actually mounted on this backing with these little clips. That's what it was, and I put it on the cylinder because I didn't want it to get damaged. But I always knew. I said, when I own my own place, and if I ever have a collection room, I'll get that frame. So I brought it to a proper framers. So it's glass on it. And she even said to me, she goes, "Look, this is double sided. Do you want me to stick this down?"
Yeah.
Or do you want to like just cover it up? She goes, if I stick it down, it'll be smoother. It'll look a lot better in the glass, but you won't be able to sell it. And I said, no, I'm never selling that. Stick it down. Yeah. And so it's framed in glass. So that was gifted to me by my friend Paul for my 30th birthday. And I only hung it up there, I don't even think it was 12 months ago. So yeah.
It's a stunning image, isn't it? I remember seeing that image at the time and just being blown away by it.
Yeah.
And my eyes are drawn underneath that to the bat pod.
Yep.
That's an interesting figure now, isn't it? I mean, are you a big fan of that one? Because I've hummed and hawed with picking that one up.
Do you have the DX19?
Yeah, I've got the 19.
Get it.
Yeah.
Yep, get it. Do you have any intention of getting Anne Hathaway's Catwoman?
I'm not sure. No. I'm not sure.
See,
if they did a Michelle Pfeiffer, definitely, but not a...
I get you.
Yeah.
I'm glad I went with this first because I've limited space, so thankfully, like I don't as much as the Ecto 1 is beautiful and the DeLorean is beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm never going to get them, but like say like I'd always have an interest in say the Tumbler, and I have the Batman '89 ordered. I couldn't say no to it. So
I know, but I've got nowhere to put it. I've the same as you, mate. I've ordered it, but I don't know where the hell it's going.
This is the thing. I'm glad I started off with a smaller vehicle, like this is a bit bigger than the Speeder,
Yeah.
That cabinet is perfect for it, and the fact that it's under the Dark Knight, it's perfect. And I had the DX19 standing on that with the EMP rifle up like that. It looks stunning. But when I got the In-Art Joker, I wanted to pose the In-Art Joker in one cube and then the DX19 next to it. I only removed the DX19, and I'll show you why in the next picture. But yeah, the Batpod, I all the scenes with the Batpod, that hit me scene is one of the most iconic scenes in cinema history. I really like the design of it. It's just amazing looking. It's very futuristic looking, and it looks great with Batman. But my plan would be to get Catwoman and put her straddling the Batpod there now. So yeah, if you're into the Dark Knight, it's worth it.
Yeah, it's very nice.
It's a bit flimsy. It's a bit flimsy, but
yeah. Speaking of the Dark Knight, then, this is stunning. This is a very nice figure. Tell a little bit about this one.
So I chose this particular image because, obviously, look, I don't always get it right. Lael, I'm sure you know the 1/6 scale man, Lael. He was very supportive of my channel at the start, and still is supportive of my channel. And we stream once a week on his channel on Collectors Lounge International on Sunday. And he always kind of says, you've got this discipline, you've got this focus, pun intended. Yeah. Because typically if something comes into my collection, it's there for a long time, but I don't always get it right. And I do like a good deal. The only time I was ever disappointed by a figure is I worked backwards. I overpaid for a DX02 because this is my favorite Batsuit from my favorite actor playing Batman. Bale is my Batman from my favorite movie. But when I got the DX02, it was basically a hefty, big, rubberized suit. It couldn't pose properly. It was a little undersized. The faceplates were ridiculous and goofy. It wasn't a good figure. It was very underwhelmed. Thankfully, then they came out and released this. I just think this is beautiful. Now, the cape is not the stock cape. I chose this image because the cape is actually a Jackson Shoe custom drape cape. That was gifted to me by Alan, the 6 Scale Gallery.
Oh, right. Fantastic.
Yeah. And if you're thinking about getting the DX19, the stock cape is not bad. It just needs a bit of futzing. And I was happy with it, but Alan actually had a few custom capes, and he said, look, I'm not using this one. It's actually very nice. Do you want it? Sent it over to me, and I got to admit, when I plugged it in, it was like it took the figure to the next level. Now, you'll notice the base that he's on. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, in terms of capes, I've got the DX19, but I haven't got the Jackson cape. But I did. I've got the original '89 Batman, and the cape with that. I don't know if you've got that one, but the cape with that is horrific. So I did pick up a custom cape for that. And like you say, it's bizarre how immediate the effect is just by swapping the cape.
Yeah. Why can't Hot Toys do that? It's a piece of material. Get the right material, cut a shape. All these customizers are doing way better than Hot Toys. They're supposed to be the experts, but they're not. Like that looks just stunning. So the base then, that's it's the base from the MMS 143, and just if you don't know what it is, that's a Spider-Man figure from Spider-Man 3. I was looking for this base because I want to do I want a Batman Begins 1/6 scale figure, and I don't think Hot Toys have ever hit the mark with it. There was hope with their recent 2.0 that they released, which had the first Night Out look and then the Batman Begins look. However, the first batch notoriously were glossy, and which is not screen accurate. It's supposed to be matte. The cape on that is awful. The cowl is too long, and it looks like a pigeon neck. The cowl is short and stubby and intimidating. It's too long. The little triangular cape clips are supposed to be at an angle and not out to the side. They got that wrong. There's a lot wrong with it. So I was looking at Dean Knight's videos because he's basically, Batman Begins, his favorite movie. He's a big expert on this, and I just took some kind of influence from him, and I was like, right, I want to build a Batman Begins. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up the Begins 2.0 second batch because the suit is matte, not shiny. I've ordered a Jackson Shoe custom cowl and mouth plates, so with the stubby neck piece and the cape clips in the right position. I have bought an OT Customs cape, which actually drapes all the way around, so you can pull off those iconic looks. It actually is lighter, it drapes all the way around, and when you put the cowl down top of it, the clips in the right position, you'll get that kind of, cape pulled over. But I saw Dean Knight, and he did something similar. I think he used maybe the Unreal Customs head sculpt and the OT Custom cape or something like that. But he had in his video, he had his, I suppose, what would you call it, definitive one, kit bash one. I don't like calling it kit bash really, but he had it standing on this base, and what I like about it is it's wide enough that Batman can stand in it,
Yeah.
but it's narrow enough that if you are putting off that draped over, imposing look,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
when he was standing on the building after capturing Falcone on his real
Yeah.
first night out, the cape drapes down the sides and it doesn't gather, and it looked stunning.
Yeah.
I was speaking to a few people, collectors and content creators, about this, that I was looking for this if anyone was selling one. I was trying to look for it. It was going for a hefty price on eBay. And Ian, I think he might be in the chat now, Ancient Silver Fox, messaged me on Instagram. Are you still looking for that base that you're going to use with your custom Batman Begins? The one from the Spider-Man? I was like, yeah. I was kind of saying, like, I'm going to get that once I have the head sculpt in hands, because I have the cape. I want the head sculpt is going to be released Q4. Then I'm going to try and get the matte Batman Begins, and when I do that, then I look to get the base. And he goes, "Don't worry about it. I got one for you. What's your address?"
Yeah. Fantastic.
It's things like that.
Yeah.
Like things like that, which the community is really, really a positive place to be. Like, I'd say 99% of people in the community positive. Sometimes there's a few less than positive people, but it's a case of the the squeaky door gets the grease and all that. But it's stories like that, like, which restore your faith in humanity. Like, so
Absolutely.
I know I've gone on a lot there, but
no, Romy, and I'm always taken aback by the kind of the stories of kindness and things like that. So, for example, I don't know if you noticed, but I've got a new intro image of myself in Thor, because Thor's my favorite character.
Yeah.
That was just totally random. Someone on Instagram sent that to us. He's a graphic designer, said, "Love your channel, did this for you." I was like, "Oh," and then, when you kind of feel a bit cheeky, I was like, "This is great, but do you mind if I use it for my use?" Because it was just he sent us a poster of it. Do you mind if I use it as my kind of my logo? And within a day, he'd sent us the designs for my Instagram, my YouTube, everything.
That is
like,
deadly. Yeah.
Just so nice, very, very nice people.
That's deadly.
Yeah, I mean that's a stunning. It does look amazing. I love the base. I have to say, I've got the 89, so I'm not picking up the new one, but I do love that standard base that comes with it. The gargoyle that you can get.
Yeah.
I am tempted by that, I have to say. Oh, look at that. Yeah.
That's just another. Amazing. I took that photo in the light box now, and that's the pose. I was a similar pose to how I had him. He was standing, straddling on the bat pod, and that's what the custom, or sorry, that's with the stock cape. It still looks great. Like, that's, I had a lot of fun photographing that, and it's one of the, like, some of the figures in the collection behind me, like, they're set and forget. I've dialed in the pose I want, and that's it. For different reasons, some of them might have tailoring, and I don't want to be messing around with them and weathering the tailor and stuff like that. But the DX19, it's something that I find I repose a lot. I put, like, in this pose, I put in a fighting pose with a batarang. I swap out and have the head sculpt there. It's a great figure. It's a real fun figure. I think I really like it.
So, sticking with the theme, I think one of the best figures around at the moment is this bad boy. Tell a little bit about this one, Shane.
Yeah, this one, like, if I'm being completely honest, I'm nearly sick of talking about it. But I think that's more that, like, that's more that since it was announced in March 2022, you couldn't really put on a stream without it being referenced. Like, and there was people saying, like, "Oh, it's not going to be good" and all that. Like, but I tune a lot of that stuff out, because it's like, the photos are good. Okay, the prototype video that's shown is great. It looked great at the Vegas events. That's a lot of boxes being ticked. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And sure enough, like, I took this photo. This isn't an image from the prototype image or anything. This is the photo of my actual purple coat one. I just stuck it into the light box, and I'm really, really happy with the Rooted 2 back. And I think the Hot Toys one, sculpted and rooted, look pretty good. Be skeptical on how Hot Toys pulls off rooted hair until I see something that's good. But
I don't think the hair looks as good as this, mind. I don't think
so either. I'm very happy with this. Yeah.
Slightly devastated that I went for the just purely as a money thing. I went for the sculpted hair, and now I really regret that. I wish I'd gone. You
can still get the rooted hair. Line Rock have the 2-pack, and I think it's on sale at the moment. Okay, it's maybe my $50 or $100 off, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, but they'd have to sell the sculpted then, though. That's the only thing.
Yeah. James T. Keegan remembers, I think you were telling me about this a little while ago, that there was an issue with one of your head sculpts. Did you get the replacement sorted out?
Yeah, I got 2 copies of the same one. And when they shipped these, they shipped them in little cylinder containers.
Yeah.
And the head sculpts the rooted hair head sculpts are stuck to the bottom, but mine had popped off on transport. So I contacted Lion Rock people who bought them off. They contacted in very, very slow, but I'm supposed to be getting it. I was supposed to get it in July actually, and I contacted them because it was, it's August now.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, look, they're chasing up InArt about that because they've had a few other issues as well. And InArt have said they're going to replace them, but they want to get a move on it.
Yeah. Okay, Shane, we've heard a little bit about some of your hobbies. So your music, your snowboarding, all that kind of stuff. Have you ever, in part of your journeys and all your different events, have you ever met anyone famous, or have you ever interacted with a celeb, or do you have a claim to fame in any of your excursions or anything like that?
Let me see. I think of a few little stories. The most recent one is pretty cool and very relevant, actually. Myself and my girlfriend went to a place called Grand Canal Dock in Dublin. It's the centre of Dublin. It has like a little dock with, it's kind of water and stuff like that, and a lot of nice cafes, bars, restaurants, and there is a theatre there. So it's like the Bord Gosh Energy Theatre, where they have like gigs and a lot of musicals. So we were there on a Sunday to see like a matinee of West Side Story. She's a big into musical and stuff like that, and we caught a bit of food beforehand. Before we were going in to get food, we were just sitting there having a coffee, just sunshine and just chilling out, and she was like, "Oh, that's the guy from Star Wars." And I was like, "What?" And I turned around and I was like, "Geez, actually, it does look like him." And he's like, "Oh, he's going into that coffee shop." And I was like, "Right." I suddenly felt the urge to get another espresso, so I walked over anyway. It was really quiet. For Dublin in the sunshine, which sun never shines in Dublin, but rarely anyway. It was, and for the time of day it wasn't like early in the morning. It was midday or whatever. It should have been a lot busier. It was very quiet. Went into this coffee shop, so only a handful of people in there, really chill. And this guy orders a coffee, so I ordered an espresso. It was like a dummy little espresso. I felt like it was a spy movie, on a stakeout. So he was there with his coffee. The way you go up and there's like napkins, and sugar and stuff. He's putting the sugar in his coffee. I was like, all right, you will never get this opportunity again. So I kind of went up and I said, very politely, I said, "Excuse me," and it was a pause, and it was so long. It was like he was ignoring me, and I felt like I wanted the ground to swallow me up. And then eventually he went, "Yes," and I said, "You're Giancarlo Esposito, aren't you?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, I'm a massive fan of your work." And he said, "Thank you very much." And then I just walked away. I didn't want to bother him. But that was only about like a month ago in Dublin. Like, so
wow.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Other people, there was a band, the band I really, really like is, do you know Queens of Stone Age?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So like the guitarist from Queens of Stone Age used to play in a band called Caius. You're talking like back in, I suppose, 90s. And their singer was called John Garcia, and he's a new band. Well, they have new band, I think it was in the noughties or whatever, called Hermano. And they played Dublin. I met him after. He was cool. I met Shane McGowan once before. In Brussels. Just walking along with my mates some summer, and looked over, and he was just sitting there. There's a beautiful place in Brussels it's a big square called the Grand Place. It's all cobblestones. There's all these like tiny little cobblestone alleyways, and there's bars and restaurants. They're like literally you're walking through these narrow cobblestone alleyways, and there's all these outdoor seating and stuff like that. These beautiful quaint restaurants, and they're all trying to get you in. Beautiful seafood and stuff like that, and people in a really good atmosphere. And so walking along, and I walking with two of my mates, and he was like, "Who's that guy there? That's Shane McGowan." So he was sitting there on his own outside one of these restaurants, a little round table. There was a big thing of champagne, there was wine, several beers, loads of food. It was like, so we kind of chanced around, went over. Now he couldn't speak a word. Like we were like, "Can we get a picture?" And he's kind of went, yeah. He had this kind of classic laugh, like, so. He was bananas. I'm sure he doesn't remember it, but look, he He was really nice. You couldn't understand what he was saying, but yeah, we got photos taken. The guy is
Yeah,
so white though, like he's extremely white. Like, and
yeah.
we were three Irish lads, but we looked like we had tans compared to him. Like, so
Yeah.
um,
Tremendous, tremendous,
yeah,
good stuff.
yeah,
Just going to quickly jump into the chat there, Shane. Dr. Von Hoot about the Joker, the hair really does sell the look of the figure. Look at that quickly, and you'd think it was a photo of it. Yeah, that I think, yeah, absolutely, mate, absolutely. Empire Strikes is this Shane's episode? Absolutely, yeah. We're putting him through his paces, yeah. And we've got my pal Jack. Sorry, I'm late. No problem at all. Thank you very much for joining, Jack. Were you named after Shane McGowan? Absolutely, I'm sure you were.
definitely
Is
not.
that right? Yeah. James T, who's from your neck of the woods, is saying he seems the type that would welcome someone saying hi. I sat in front of Aiden, wow, at the cinema. I remember you telling us a story, James, and he looked annoyed when I said hello.
I saw
Yeah.
actually Aidan Gillen as well. I was just driving through Dublin one Christmas, and he was this really stylish, kind of fashionable guy in front of me. He's on Bagot Street, and yeah, he was there. I would presume his missus, but yeah, I just thought, oh, he's very stylish. Oh, that's your man. So yeah, but that's unfortunate.
Good
Yeah,
stuff. It's always that awkward moment where you kind of think, do you say something, or do you do the, because they're just people, aren't they? They're just probably there wanting a quick coffee and all the rest of it.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, I didn't want to push it that day as well.
yeah,
Yeah. So
good stuff. Okay, Shane. Next thing for you to show, and this is a beaut. I didn't realize you had this, so I love this. Tell a little bit about this.
yeah, this is I picked this up long before. This is, I think, going back to the early noughties. I picked this up long before I had any 1/6 scale. As a kid, like, I grew up next to an airport, and I just always was fascinated by anything that flew. So, like, things like movies like, the first Independence Day with all the F-18 Hornets, loved that. Obviously Top Gun was just like, it's just the coolest stuff when you're a kid or whatever like that. Still have a soft spot for Top Gun. Absolutely love Maverick as well.
Oh yeah,
Just love fighter jets and specifically, like, but even like, Apache helicopters, or even the old Spitfires, and all different, just B-52s, all that kind of stuff. But anything that flew. So for me, when I was a kid, like, if I had a choice between a vehicle or a character, I'd always pick the vehicle. So this is actually a 1:72 Oshima. It's made by a company, I think they're a Japanese company, Oshima. So it's like AOSHIMA. 1:72 scale alien dropship. It's fully diecast. This thing is heavy.
it's diecast.
articulated. Yeah, it diecast.
Wow.
It might look like plastic. It is heavy. So like the bits on the side that come out like that, they like tuck in, they're articulated, and the things, the kind of the weapon system on the top, they fold in as well. Comes with a little 1/72 scale Alien Queen. The bottom compartment opens up, and you can actually buy the APC, and the APC will fit in it, which I imagine will make it significantly heavier. And the landing gear, it doesn't go up or down. You just detach the landing gear, and you can put on, like, it's like see the little sled bits.
Yeah.
So like the feet, there's basically feet where you can clip on, so it looks like it's not, so it's flight mode basically. You know what I mean? So yeah, this is just one of those pieces. I think this goes for like anywhere between 500 to 800 euro on eBay now. I didn't pay that for it, but it's it's just a cool piece. I haven't got it displayed at the moment. I'm trying to figure out where to put it there. Does it so it looks like it's being displayed and not thrown around. I just don't want to damage it.
It's a stunning piece, and again, it's one of my favorite vehicles from one of my favorite movies. To be perfectly honest, it's I love that. Very, very cool.
Any list of best ever science fiction films that doesn't include aliens, it's an incomplete list.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Shane. So next question for you is favorite hero. Now, this hasn't got to be a comic book hero or a hot toy hero or anything like that. It can be literally anything, from a movie, a book, whatever you want. So who would you say is somebody that you would kind of be drawn to as your favorite hero?
I'm gonna not say the obvious here now. I'm not gonna go with comic book, or I'm gonna go with Richard Dawkins would be someone I respect a lot. I'm not a religious person. I'm a chemistry and biology science teacher, and I think I suppose he's been labelled a militant atheist, and I'm not a religious person myself either, but I've read a bunch of his books, and just the way that he articulates himself and the way that he bases his decisions and his way of thinking on the scientific data, and even the way he's kind of accepting that science doesn't always have the answers. And I think that's a very important thing, but like at the same time he's basing his, I suppose, outlook on life from data. I actually think he's very, very, just the way he describes evolution, the way he writes, the way he speaks about the reason he's agnostic or atheist. I really like that and can relate to it. The God Delusion's a fantastic book. The Selfish Genes, another one. Do you know, there's a bunch from I've read there.
What a fantastic pick, and that's a because normally people go for superhero characters, so that's a great choice. And I first became aware of Richard through YouTube, actually, by some of the debates and the clips. Quite often teamed up with Stephen Fry, the ones that I watched. And they're absolutely amazing. Because I'm not a religious person at all. And some of the debates are just so intelligent, if you know what I mean, but in a grounded way. Do you know what I mean? So it's not gobbledygook. It's literally,
people don't debate these days with logic. They debate with emotions and how they feel. Like, it doesn't matter if you're trying to have a scientific argument. It doesn't matter how you feel. It doesn't matter what your emotions are like. What does the data suggest? It'd be, I'm reading a book at the moment called The Irrational Ape, and it's all about how the world would be a better place if people made their decisions on logical and what the data suggests, as opposed to how they feel. You know what I mean? And we've seen a lot of that over the last few years. Like, and I suppose we don't want to get political and stuff like that, but you know, it is really interesting. And I think it's the stuff that I see on YouTube, particularly with him. And actually, do you know what? I know he's more of a divisive character, but Ricky Gervais at times when he's arguing religion, he was my other pick.
he's tremendous, you know. I remember watching
people talk about The Office. People talk about The Office, and if they're Americans, they're talking about the Americans' Office. The Office has 2 seasons, and it's the English version. That's it.
That's it. But I remember watching Ricky Gervais arguing about religion, and I think he challenged this individual and said, you know, there are like 140 religions. What's so special about yours? 140 gods. You know, what is it about yours that makes it the God? And it was just a really interesting way of putting it, you know, because you become very institutionalized into what you know and forget about what else is out there in the big wide world, I think.
But it's in the name as well. It's called faith, so Faith. So the word faith, you're believing something without any proof. Who said that was a good idea? People to control you back hundreds of years ago. Do you know, I just want to bring it back full circle on that. Like, I'm a big fan of Ricky Gervais. I love the Office seasons 1 and 2. I'm actually going to rewatch that now. I've seen him live a few times, not just because he's funny, because he's intelligent, because it's science and the 80s, and he's a dog lover as well. But back to Richard Dawkins really quickly, if you don't mind. A long time ago, I think it was around the time where he was promoting his book, The God Delusion. He was a guest on an Irish TV comedy show hosted by Dara O'Brien. I'm not sure if you know Dara O'Brien. He's a famous Irish comedian. And it's called The Panel. And what he had was, he was the host, and he sat in between 2 panels. It was usually made up with 3 people each, 2 Irish comedians on each side, and each would bring a guest. So one of the panels had a guest, and it was Richard Dawkins around the time where he was promoting his book, The God Delusion. So Dara O'Brien introduced him, and Dara always has a habit of saying like that's kind of his thing. It's like, the next guest is Richard Dawkins, famous author and biologist, and he's touring for his book, The God Delusion. But anyway, so he says to him, and obviously this is kind of loosely scripted, you know, before he gets the chance to plug his book, and he says, So you are an atheist. And he said, yes. He goes, so you don't believe in God? No. And you don't believe in the devil? No. And you don't believe in heaven or hell? No. So he's kind of like, this is a joke coming. He goes, so you believe when you die, you go into the ground, you get eaten by worms, and that's it. And he said, yes. And he goes, God, it's all a bit morbid, isn't it? And everyone laughs, and that's the joke. And Richard comes back and he says, is it though? The fact that you know you're going to die, right? The fact that you know that you have a fixed amount of time on this earth, doesn't that make every single moment of your life even more valuable and precious, knowing that this is it? I heard that when I was like, I'd say late teens. And at this stage, I knew, what I believed and didn't. But I was like, man, I wish I was that articulate. And that's when I went and read all his books and stuff like that. And I just, big fan.
I had a very...
he's one of my heroes.
Very similar kind of experience watching it again. It was Stephen Fry, actually. And I think it was an Irish interviewer. And they were debating religion. And I think he said to Stephen Fry at the end, when he knew he was getting nowhere with Stephen Fry, he said, Stephen Fry, what if you're wrong? What if you turn up at the pearly gates and God looks you in the eye?
I've seen this.
What do you say to him? And he just launches into this rant about, he goes, I would say, how dare you? The pain, the suffering, you want what to, drop to one knees and praise you. How dare you? And the poor interviewer's face, he was devastated. But I thought, you know what? Bang on.
Because he in that he says he said something along the lines of like he would challenge God, and he would say it was something like, bone cancer in babies, like how dare you? Like whose idea was that? Like
there's a parasite that's only reason for existence is to make people blind. And he said, why? What's the point of that? I'm just going to jump to the chat here. Sorry, just before we move on, we mentioned Ricky Gervais there. I don't know if you've seen the movie, but just a recommendation for a film I watched recently, The Invention of Lying. I don't know if you've seen that. Superb movie. Absolutely superb. Six-Tail Padawan, God Delusion, great Dawkins book. Yeah, it is. It's spot on. Agent Silver Fox. Have so many of his books. Are we brothers now? Yeah, absolutely. We all believe in the God Howard Chan. Yes, very much. James T, getting DPL ads. Absolutely. Why not? And I'll have to say a few Hail Marys after all this. Good stuff.
They still won't let him into heaven.
So moving on to some more figures in your collection. Oh, we've got these two stunners. I absolutely love these. Tell us a little bit about these ones, mate.
Yeah.
Predator. Was that Predator?
Yeah.
Was
like,
that what? Yeah.
It's just, like these two movies are two of the greatest movies ever made. I'm not saying greatest science fiction movies ever made. They are two of the greatest movies ever made. It's, and like you could ask me on a Monday and I'd say Terminator 1, on a Tuesday Terminator 2. They're just both great in different ways. I worked backwards on both of these. I secured the T800 for 400. I think it was about €400. I mean, look, it was a bit pricey, but I've seen this figure go for a lot higher, and I did well enough on the DX13 as well. I just like, I don't even know where to start. Like I saw these movies when I don't even think I was 10 watching these two movies. I shouldn't have been watching these movies at all. Like, they're just fantastic. Yeah, the likeness of Arnie is on point. The accessories that you get, the like for that DX13.
For an older figure, that head sculpt is absolutely bang on. So I've got that one as well, and I think that's probably one of my best head sculpts. And like
the
I
13 say, or the T800,
the 13. I just think it's stunning, absolutely stunning.
It is,
yeah.
And I got the fusion lit up there as well, so it just kind of
I love that.
Looks the business, like that bit of a touch. But yeah, I was looking for the DX13. I was kind of, I don't recommend like working backwards all the time. That can be a risky game. You really have to, pick your battles. Yeah. You could have a list and then maybe, kind of. I like to have. There's a few out there that I'm happy enough to work backwards on, but you need to kind of strike. You know what I mean? So sometimes you'll get a deal, but sometimes you get a price where it's like, okay, that's significantly cheaper than what I've seen it for on eBay. I'm comfortable paying that.
Yeah.
And I pass on, I say this a lot, I pass on a lot of the things that look cool. I pass on a lot of things I like to collect, the things I love.
Yeah.
So if I've got to work backwards and pay, $100, $200 over retail on something, that's a hit I'm willing to take. But I've already sidestepped, 5 other Hot Toys figures that
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just not going to get. So yeah, like this, like that DX13, the two different coats, one of the battle damaged arm, the
Yeah.
battle damage on the face, two different head sculpts. You've got like a bunch of, you've got a machine gun, you've got a few different handguns, and the head sculpts on point. Like it's, just beautiful.
Did you get the special edition with the
With the blob,
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think much of that. I never have.
No,
I
so
just,
I
I think it's, no.
so
I did,
I
but
got the
yeah.
yeah, I got that, and I got the second head sculpt I think that you get with it, and it's literally just that's a stay in the boxer for me because it just
Yeah,
looks
that's a
it
very
doesn't do it.
poor accessory. That like
Mm,
it's like this is such high quality, and then you get that yoke. It's like, ah, come on.
yeah,
I would have
I'm
rather
loving
the
how you've done
diorama
the
base or something.
I'm loving how you've done the light up eye mind because that's it just looks phenomenal. Yeah, I love it.
That's
Absolutely love it.
fusion reactors on Instagram. A little dummy
Yeah,
battery, clips in, and then all I did was I've ran the. It's handy with this figure because it has a belt and it has the bandolier, so you can position the wire down the back of the leg so you don't see it. The only thing you do see is from the heel to the back right
yeah,
corner. But then I've used grey cable ties to that black wire. You don't see that running down, and they drill a hole
yeah.
in the back of the bottom of the detolf and run the USB out, and it's all on a smartphone. Then it's definitely gives it a bit more pop.
Stunning, absolutely stunning. And I can't make it out there, Shane. But have you got the chewed up arm on it, or have you got the standard
Yeah,
arm?
it's just where he's standing. It's behind
Yeah,
him.
it's
Yeah,
chewed
yeah.
up arm because again, that's a superb look. Yeah, love that. Absolutely love it. Okay, bud. Next question for you. What is a perfect day in your life? What would you be if you could make the perfect day next week? What would it involve? And what would you be doing?
Jesus, gonna have to keep this PC. All right, so I obviously I mentioned before I love to snowboard, and obviously you can't do that in Ireland. You have to travel, but like that's part of the beauty of it. You get to see a new country, and like
Yeah,
these, you're going up into the mountains, the snow-capped mountains with the beautiful snow everywhere and the trees. It's panoramic views. You close your eyes, you still take a good photo. So I think my perfect day would be myself and Megan. Obviously, we plan on going to New Zealand. I've been there a bunch of times. We're supposed to go 2020, but
yeah,
2020. So
yeah, yeah.
the plan is to go next summer, which would be their winter, and snowboard for the winter. Um, Perfect day would be wake up early. This might sound a bit strange. Go for a short run, just so that I'm actually awake and I've got the blood going.
Yeah.
Uh, get a bit of shower and a bit of a coffee. Get a decent coffee. Some sort of I'm a bit of a sweet tooth. Some sort of like a decent like a croissant or something like that.
Mhm.
Get the bus up to the mountain and listen to some tunes and chat to people and stuff like that. Snowboard for the entire day.
Yeah.
Snowboard for the entire day in the sunshine with my friends, with my girlfriend, and then come down and just have a few beers that night. I think that'd be pretty much it. Like,
Yeah.
just
Sounds superb. Sounds absolutely superb. Yeah. Nice chilled day. Just doing what you love. What more could you want? Now then, Shane, your next image is one of my all-time favorite movies, and it's a figure that I've picked up a little while ago, and I know you've got recently as well. And I'm interested to know what you think of it because when I first bought mine, I was a little underwhelmed, but then I've grown to love it more. So we're talking about this stunner. Tell a little bit about RoboCop and what it means to you.
um. First of all, you're definitely wrong.
I tell you what it was. I tell you what it was. I'm new to the hot toy, relatively new to the hot toy game. Before I bought RoboCop, I think I'd bought the Endgame Iron Man, and I decided that I absolutely love diecast. I love the feel of it on a figure. I love the weight of it. I like the coldness. Yeah, I don't know why. It just sings to us. And when I got RoboCop, I expected more die-cast, and my initial getting it out of the box feeling was kind of like, oh, this is a bit plasticky at points.
Mm.
But like I say, I've since fallen in love with it more, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the diecast thing is cool. It's nice to there's a bit of a weight to a decent Iron Man and stuff like that, and I get that, but it's not the be all and end all.
Yeah,
Like if someone give me a choice, right, you can have a diecast figure which will be heavier and more durable or whatever, or you can have a plastic figure, but the paint applications are so good it will look more screen accurate. I choose the latter.
yeah,
For
yeah.
this figure here, I think this is one of the best ones Hot Toys have ever done. Did you get the one with the chair?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't get the chair. Yeah,
But you had basically the same version, but without the chair.
yeah,
You still have to swap
yeah.
it,
The
the battle damage
swappable,
parts, yeah?
yeah, swappable chest plate and helmet with some
Yeah.
battle damage and things
Sound
on. Yeah,
effects.
yeah, yeah,
I've
yeah.
never actually used the sound effects. I must
They're pretty good. Yeah,
yeah, I must get that, and that'd be a nice short to do. But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, look, I love the first two RoboCop movies. After that, I think there's only RoboCop's like Terminator. There's only two movies.
yeah, yeah,
So I think they've nailed the likeness of Peter Weller. Yeah.
yeah,
So I've got a special
yeah,
delivery.
yeah. Cool. No
Thanks
problem.
very much.
Oh, superb. Yeah,
Spoiled. But yeah, they've nailed the likeness of Peter Weller with such a small little piece of flesh. Like, you got a
yeah,
bunch of different swap out mouth plates. You've got a swap out battle damaged helmet and chest plate. You've got the throne, the not the throne, the
yeah. The chair.
mechanical seat there with light up parts, and you've got sound effects. You've got a die-cast gun for when it puts it in
Yeah,
the side, which tie opens up, and then a regular one, which you can hold in the hand because it can be quite heavy. Like if I had to criticize the figure, I would say there should be an actual swap out hand, a trigger hand, like the
yeah,
right hand. Whereas they give you the articulate fingers and you've got to articulate. Now, in fairness, I've done that now. It's posed directly behind me, but
yeah,
it has, the hand up like that, and it looks very well. But I spent a bit of time just getting it right.
yeah. I was the
You
same.
do have to spend a bit of time with these, I suppose, to
Yeah,
get them right. Like,
yeah,
no, I think this is one of their best figures they've ever done, to be honest. I think maybe what's happened is you got a very modern figure based on a very, very modern CGI character whose tech was way beyond, and the CGI was way
yeah,
beyond the effects they could do now. Whereas the Hot Toys based things off screen accuracy. The suit that he had, it was slow, it was
yeah,
clunky, and that's
yeah,
why we love it. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. Yeah, and I think when we talk about detail, one of the things, and you can't quite make it out in that image, but one of the things that I love is that you can see even his eye through the hole
yeah.
in the visor and everything. Now, I love the figure. Like I say, I grew to love it. I'm desperate for an Ed 209, but from the ones I've seen, they really struggle with cracking on the kind of the shell, the top shell.
I don't know why that is, though. What is it made of? Is it like a
I
rubber
don't
or
know.
something?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of them on eBay and places like that, and they've all got the same issue. I mean, my RoboCop was second hand, obviously, and it had some splitting on the rubber elbow joints, but the guy
Right.
had fixed it with a bit of super glue, and you actually
Mm,
can't tell. It looks great.
mm-hmm.
Just going to quickly jump to the chat. We've got GP Venom just jumped in. Thanks for joining, Pete. Hope you're well, my friend. Six Hill Padawan saying that light up eye is pure quality. Yeah, on the Terminator. Phil from Phil's Nerdyverse. Thank you for joining, Phil. I hope you are well. Okay, Shane. Next question for you then. And this is really just for you to advise people that are watching of a channel that you enjoy and you would recommend them going to check out. So not necessarily your favorite YouTuber, but just a channel that you, if you're having a bit of downtime, you would flick on to watch and that you might want to push people towards seeing.
Oh, you see, you put me in a position now because I stream on a lot of my favorites. Oh, yeah. Favorite YouTuber. Trying to think now. Yeah, I see. I stream with a lot of people. I'm in the hot seat now.
Yeah.
I'm just going to commit. I'm just going to commit. While I stream with a lot of people and I watch a lot of content, I'll watch the Jedi Knights watch, I'll watch Big Brother, I'll watch 16 Fix. I love collecting weekly. You know, I'll watch Justin, I watch Mafia,
Yeah.
I watch a load of different people. I watch the Ben Thomas show,
Yeah.
Six Scale Scavengers, obviously. I have a lot of different favorite. I have a lot of people that I really like.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing though. I really like Jedi Patrol's production value.
Yeah.
I always have, because when he does an unboxing or review, it's not just here's a box, open up, here's accessory, here's a pose. It's the way he does it. It's
Yeah.
the photography, the posing, the lighting, the music. It's all of that stuff together, and I really appreciate it. It's very, very creative. And a lot of other people do that, like Dan and Dre from Six Scale Reviews,
Yeah.
fantastic as well. Lael, the 16 Scale man, fantastic. Iron Logan, super.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's no two YouTube content creators in this 16 Scale community are the same. They're not.
Absolutely.
Everyone has their own spin on it, and everyone does something different. So
And that's part of the joy, isn't it? That there's different you're not just watching the same stuff. Do you know what I mean? There's even, I mean, I'm probably like yourself, Shane. If a new figure comes out, I'll check out 4 or 5 different channels worth of the reviews, you know, and
as
each
Marco
before I
says,
make a
you need to
decision.
get the data.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to
Yeah,
get the
exactly.
data.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
each one's got a different hook for us. Each one's got a different style, a different flair, which is what I enjoy, you know. Just quickly jump into the chat. We've got my friend Efren from San Diego here. Efren, we're not starting again, mate. We're not starting again. I hope you're well, Efren. We've got Jared is very good. Yeah, he's superb. Shiny, nice of you to join, my friend. I hope you're well. Passback Comics. He's listing his least favorite figures, and then they randomly start talking about Shane's lifelong moments. Yeah, good stuff. Okay, Shane. So 2 figures which are stunning from your collection. Tell a little bit about these. I love that War Machine.
Yeah, I am. The Mark 6 is my favorite armor, and the Mark 6 was my first ever Hot Toys Iron Man.
Oh, yeah.
This was my 3rd ever figure. See, I got my first 2 back in 2008. I got a Batman and a Joker from The Dark Knight. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
I've since sold them on because they're very...
Oh. I think we've lost you, Shane. You're
I'm
back.
still here.
There you are.
There we go. Yeah, sorry, I blipped there for a minute, but
you blipped. Matrix.
Yeah, what I was saying is the Mark 6 Iron Man was my first Hot Toys Iron Man. I got my first 2 Hot Toys in 2008. It was a Joker and a Batman from The Dark Knight. Surprise, surprise! But I've since sold them on. They're very, very dated figures, and sure, the inner blows it out of the water. It's not a fair comparison at all.
Yeah.
And sometimes that happens. Like, you know, you have a favorite character, you get that particular figure, you love it, but then technology gets better and better and better, and you're in that position where, do I keep this and just go make my peace with there's a better one out there, or do I go, you know what, I'm going to sell this, take a loss, and sell it on? And in a way, I've never really seen it as take a loss. There's not too many things that you buy like that you can just sell on in a few years and get the same money back. Life doesn't work like that, and collecting definitely doesn't, like, unless you hit an absolute the G word. But so the way I see that is, if, let's say you have, I love this Mark 6, and the new Mark 6 is out now with the gantry, and let's say if I wanted to invest in that, and if I wanted to sell this, then let's say I buy this for €400 and I sell it for €200, and I've had it for 3 years. So you basically 3 years, what's that, maybe about, say 1,000 days. You know what I mean? So you divide 1,000 days into €200, and you work out the price in cent per day that you rented that figure for, and that's the price you pay for the dopamine hit. So I don't see it as a loss. I see it's more as that's the price you paid to enjoy the figure for X amount of time. I'm actually not selling the stuff, no chance. These guys look so well together. Like, they just, I mean, Iron Man 2 it's not a particularly great movie, but
it's not bad, but it's not,
it
people
has some fantastic scenes in it.
Yeah.
The Formula One scene,
Mm-hmm.
the intros, so it just shows it's
Yeah.
Tony's ego on steroids with the
Yeah.
AC/DC playing.
Yeah.
The kill box scene with the two boys who were back to back fighting, that was amazing. It
Yeah.
gives some great
Justin
great
Hammer
scenes.
is superb.
Yeah.
You know.
And absolutely pisses on modern MCU.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Absolutely.
Do you
Yeah,
mean
no,
would you
yeah.
rather watch this than Thor Love and Thunder or any of the Marvel TV shows or Quantumania? No way. Like, do you mean this? Like,
Yeah.
Iron Man 2 is sort of that's some great stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, these two are beautiful. These are the first two fusion reactors I bought. They're not actually lit up in this photo. Funny thing about this photo is I had them posed up like this. This is the exact same pose I have them behind me now, but now they're lit up with fusion reactors. So before I had them actually lit up with fusion reactors, I wanted to take a photo of them and post it. So I just took them down, put them in the light box, took one photo, looked at the camera, and usually when it comes to photography, I'm not a particularly good photographer. I'm more throw enough shit at a wall and some of it will stick. But
Yeah.
I just had my settings right, took the snap, and I was like, yeah, that's it, and just
It works.
posted it.
It
But,
works.
yeah.
Yeah.
I really love this.
I think they look stunning together. And it's interesting what you're saying, you know, about new figures coming out and replacing old. So I've gone backwards and forth on the Batman 89 in terms of, you know, I've got the original, I love it, but then they've got this new version coming out, and do I cut my losses and get rid of the old for the new? But then I don't know if there's that much difference in it. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if there's. I have to see some reviews at the time. You think what? Sorry.
I think it's worth the upgrade. I'll tell you why. You want Vicky Vale's shoe.
Yeah, I do.
I know you do, right? There's also the base that you mentioned already.
Yeah,
the faceplates do look better. I still think you'll probably have to get a custom cape, though. Did you get a custom cape for the 89?
I've got a custom cape.
Yeah.
But I mean, Shane, you're enabling us here, because I guess what I could do is keep me set up with my original 89 and my Jack Nicholson Joker and all the rest of it. And
I know
could
what you're
buy
going to say.
The new one for the Batmobile.
Yeah, see, that's if you didn't say it, that was my. I don't put out my. When I'm arguing with someone, I hold my best argument back and see if I can win with my weak arguments first. Yeah. So no, that was it. Yeah,
you need the gargoyle taking the shit. Yeah, absolutely. But okay, mate. Next question for you then. Let's see what we've got next.
I'm really enjoying this, actually. Thank you. It's nice to be asked questions instead of being the one asking the questions.
Actually, sorry, before we move on to your next question, tell about this one. That looks phenomenal.
Man, I don't use bases. The sand base is shit.
Yeah, it's
even the normal rectangular Star Wars bases with the little grill. I just think it looks. I don't think it looks right. The diamond bases are too big. The hexagon bases look cheap. You have this like 1/6 scale real looking figure, and then you're putting on this piece of plastic. I don't think it looks right.
Do you use museum paste then? Museum gel?
No, I don't.
Yeah, so I got rid of all of my bases and went for something called museum gel, which is kind of a clear, sticky plastic, which works quite well. Yeah,
I would use it with certain figures with maybe weak ankles or something like that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be opposed to it, but at the moment, like obviously Ireland, I don't live in a fault line. I don't have creaky floorboards in the house I'm living in, and I don't have kids. But if it changes, or if a figure gets old and has weak ankles, I may have to. The museum gel, I think, is a great idea, but I don't use bases.
Yeah.
But part of it is not just the clean look. Part of it is that I don't think they add to the display. But I think it's insulting to call this a base. Yeah. This is not a base. This is an environmental diorama. And the fact that it lights up, you're getting a piece of Bespin there. That orangey red glow is stunning. The two little generators, absolutely beautiful. The figure is very simple. He could have been a janitor. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's very clean. But the little touches, like, it's a simple... That's kind of what I like about the original trilogy. Like, not everyone had a fancy... Like, all these suits in the MCU now, some of them just look ridiculous. Like, the modern stuff. But this is just like... It's a very understated... It's a flight suit, really. But
Yeah.
the holster with the little strapper on the thigh, lovely touch. The inclusion, obviously, of the DL44 blaster, beautiful. And my only regret about taking this photo earlier on was that the lightsaber there, I had that programmed to 25%. That's a CCFL.
Yeah.
I should have bumped it up to 100 because it doesn't photograph as well. Like behind me now, they're at 25% and they look great. But if I,
Yeah.
if I take this and pump them up, now they're at 100 and they're significant. Look at Ahsoka's there. Like, that's too bright now.
Oh, I
Like, do you
didn't
know what I mean?
realize
So
it. So where did you get your? Because I've got an Ahsoka, but I haven't picked any blades up. Where'd you get them ones from?
Where did I get them? Art 15 Custom. I don't have any agreement with them. I get no kickback. I think they did send me the last lot with they shipped them for free, but I paid for them. Art 15 Custom. The hilts depend. The Luke Skywalker, the Mando Luke, the hilt was as good as the Hot Toys. But I found the hilts with the Ahsokas, the hilts were a bit nicer on the Ahsoka. I think a bit like it's marginal. And when those things are lit up, you're not going to be looking at the hilts, like. But they still make beautiful hilts. But if I had to, the review I did with the Bespin Luke, I showed it with that and said CCFL not included, but then I compared them. And when I looked at the hilts alone, the paint job on the Bespin Luke Hot Toys hilt was nicer. Right. But it's what are you going to do? Like, have it posed with the batteries or even if you like wire them up, they're still not as good as the CCFLs. So
they look stunning, don't they? And I think, it's madness to me that Hot Toys have been developing Star Wars figures for so long, and we're yet to get a decent lightsaber. Really, even if you didn't want to light them up, surely by now we're going to have a better non-lit up version. Do you know what I mean? Instead of because some of them are just so shit. You know what I mean? They just don't look very good. Yeah.
I will say that there's a few things on that. Not every Jedi or Sith necessarily needs a light up or a CCFL. You look at the Alec Guinness. He's in that pose where he's got the hood up and he's just after using the Force and he's taking his lightsaber out just before he ignites it. It saves yourself, €160, whatever. The CCFLs are very expensive. Save yourselves the hassle of wiring it up, and it just works. But for the ones for Mando Luke, you're not gonna really like. He needs the saber, I think, personally, or the same at Bespin. But Hot Toys, like, you could throw the batteries in, and then they're not going to look as bright, and it just seems to be that the bottom light up, and then it gets really pointy towards the end, which isn't screen accurate. Or then you could wire them or get someone else to wire them, and that'd be fine. But the CCFL kind of glows a lot brighter. It looks like an actual saber. Like the disadvantages then are that I could be coming back on this channel in 6 months to a year and saying, my CCFL melted, or I don't know. And if that happens, I'll just tell people, like, so. Caveat there.
Well, mine, because I got it for my Mando Luke, I got the beautiful green one, and he fell over last week when I was doing some dusting and things like that. And when I picked him up, I noticed it wasn't glowing quite as brightly. So stupidly, I gave it a little squeeze, and it didn't do anything. So I gave it a little bit of a harder squeeze, and then it just shattered. And I thought, you stupid prick, what have I done that for?
Who did you buy from?
I can't remember. It was a guy on Facebook. On Instagram. He was very good.
Did he send you a replacement?
I haven't asked him. I
should.
I might drop my line. I might, because I'm thinking much like yourself, Shane. I've got Ahsoka. I've got Vader, but I don't think I need a lightsaber on Vader, to be honest. I've got him holding his belt in the Empire scene,
There you go. Yeah, if it makes sense and you're happy with it. Just on that, like, the guy who did my Fusion, so I've ordered a lot of them. I as a trial run, I ordered. He's from Australia. He's on Instagram. He's called Fusion Reactors. So he sent me the kit for the Mark 6 and the Mark 1. That was my tester. They arrived. I put them in. Like, I would equate the hassle of putting them in being slightly easier or on the same power as putting the batteries in. Got them wired up. I was delighted with them. App worked fine. Perfect, grand. Then I was like, right, let's open up the floodgates. I ordered the single light up eye for the DX13, the kit for cable, because that is a light up eye as well. The kit for the Battle Damage Mark 85, because I want to do the iconic pose. That's still in the box. I haven't got around to it. And the kit for the Mark 47, because I just really like it. Haven't installed that either. I went straight to the DX13 and the cable. And because it's a little piece of cylinder plastic and then there's little copper wire and solder, it was like he'd made it the right size, but he didn't kind of anticipate that the coil itself takes up a lot of space.
All right.
And
Yeah.
when I was putting it in, the little solder chipped off, and the same as the cable. So I messaged him going, look, this isn't good enough. The next day, he had sent 2 more out to me.
Really?
Like,
Yeah.
that's class. Like,
Yeah,
and like,
yeah.
so I just have to install the cable one now. Like, but you gotta love that. And thing is, you might be thinking, oh, but you probably did that because you're a content creator or whatever. My channel's very small. Also, the guy who recommended this guy to me is not a content creator, and he had the same experience. Something went wrong. He wasn't happy with something. The man sent him out a kit. Great customer service.
And that's one of the, I mean, I'm not going to dare get into it, but that's one of the big things, isn't it, about finding someone where customer service is what you want. And I think we both know there are some 1/6 companies that customer service is absolutely shite.
Whatever are you talking about?
Well, yeah, I mean, I know you've had experiences.
Whatever are you talking
about? But yeah, when you find someone like that, you want to keep them, don't you? Because they're the ones that are giving you the good customer service and the good experience. Okay, Shane, next question for you. We've done hero. How about villain? How about a favourite villain that you've got?
Kathleen Kennedy.
What do you mean? She saved Star Wars? What are you talking about?
Favourite villain? A favourite villain. You see, I can't say that because with a favourite villain, it suggests you have to actually like them. So I can't actually answer this with a real world context.
Yeah.
Because that's like saying, the guy who committed genocide. I'm not, no. Yeah. So favorite villain. Oh. Again, I think it actually is Heath Ledger's Joker, but I think that's too obvious an answer. Yeah. So I'm not going to say that.
I'm not accepting Vader either.
You know what? Are we allowed to swear?
Yeah.
I won't swear. I won't swear now because I don't typically try. I try not to swear on my channel, but
fuck. You can swear.
Fucking Joffrey.
Good choice. Good choice. Yeah.
He's a prick.
Yeah, you smarmy little bastard.
Yeah. Because there's villains you love to hate. Like everyone, you love to hate Vader. You love to hate Gustavo Fring. You love to hate whoever. But he was a bad piece of work, but he was good.
I remember sat watching that with my wife, and when he starts choking, we both just looked at each other, and when you see just that joy, it's like, this isn't right. We're not meant to be happy at this, but absolutely.
To be honest, though, my actual real answer, if I won't say Heath Ledger's Joker, it would be Gustavo Fring. It would be from Breaking Bad. I just thought he was captivating, absolutely. So because he's so calm, that's scarier. That's scarier than someone going psycho. Like, do you have you watched Breaking Bad?
I've never seen Breaking Bad. No, it's on my list. It's on my list to catch up on.
I'm really jealous that you've never had that experience. Yeah. But basically, he's a calm, collected character.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's played by Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah.
So he, yeah.
See, I often find they're the characters that I enjoy most. So if I think back to the Netflix Daredevil series, the way they played Kingpin as this very calm and collected, and then every now and then he'd just go mental, and smash someone's head against a door or whatever. And that quiet kind of simmering madness, I think, is really appealing to watch. Speaking of madness and speaking of villains, this is something else from your collection. Thanos. Yeah. What are your thoughts on Thanos?
Like, again, we won't know, but it's quite possible that the MCU has peaked at Endgame. We don't know yet. I genuinely thought No Way Home was at the same standard. And I absolutely I loved Guardians of the Galaxy 3, but apart from them, they were the only. It's weird. It was like, it really is peaks and troughs. I see the MCU post Endgame was there was a peak definitely for No Way Home, trough. There was a peak for Guardians of the Galaxy and nothing else. Like again, that's just my opinion. It's just movies, like
No, I'm completely with you. Completely with you.
But this guy, the MCU, they made a few mistakes along the way in the sense that they had some fantastic villains who never got a second movie, like Killmonger. Michael B. Jordan was amazing, but killed off very quickly.
Yeah.
But this particular guy here now, like he was a formidable villain in the sense that I was like, they're not gonna win this one, and they didn't. But out of the 3 Hot Toys Thanos that are available, Tanai, what's the plural?
Yeah, Thanai.
Yeah. I think this one's the one to get. Like, as in, I know with Infinity War he won and stuff like this, but this one.
So is this the battle damaged?
Battle damaged.
Yeah.
It's got the correct red nano gauntlet. It's got 2 great head sculpts. It's got the broken sword. It comes with a very simple Rocky base that I think like people have used to pose anyone from Spider-Man to Black Widow on Hawkeye to Deadpool on. It's just one of those bases that's very versatile. But the reason this guy's here is it's not just because he was, I think, the best villain we've seen in the MCU so far, from some of the best movies, Infinity War and Endgame, and it's my favorite version of him because this was gifted to me. This was bought for me when I was living in Abu Dhabi. I was in a 2-bedroom apartment and I started renting one of the rooms out. One of my mates was looking for a place to stay, a Jordanian guy called Gait. And when I left, he said, "Look, I wanted to get you something here," and he pre-ordered this for me. And yeah. So like, I was going to get this anyway. This was a done deal, like, but
that's a really nice. Again, back to the whole kindness side of things, but I think in terms of this figure, this was probably. I've got the version before this. I've got the end game version that came out before the battle damaged version came out. So you get the full sword and all that kind of jazz. I think it was probably my 3rd or 4th hot toy. And I was just absolutely blown away with the scale of it and how big it was, how heavy it was.
It's like a statue, isn't it?
It's massive, it's absolutely massive. And the detail in the armor is just phenomenal. I have to say, you talk about changes in collections. I think
mine's posed.
Oh yeah,
it's on the highest floating shelf there.
Yeah, very cool. So I've got mine posed with Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man kind of just facing off against him. But I remember getting this, and then I don't think the battle damaged version came out too long after the version I bought. And I remember being a little bit irritated, thinking, do you know what? I would have liked that nano gauntlet. I liked the rusty. Because
they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yep. You got one?
Sorry. Yeah, I know. So they knew what they were doing, didn't they?
Yeah. Frustrating. Next, tell her about this one.
Like, I gotta say, I'm biased because he's Irish.
Yeah.
The first thing I saw this guy in was, so this is a long answer. Strap yourselves in. First time I saw this guy was in 28 Days Later, zombie flick.
Oh yeah, superb.
Quite good. And I thought, this guy's good. Like, he's believable. And I saw him in a few other things. Jim Sheridan did a movie called Sunshine, which I've only watched once, and I've meaning to go back and rewatch it again. I enjoyed that. So I thought he was good in Red Eye. Obviously, he's in the Dark Knight trilogy, so he's get the thumbs up. Nolan's my favorite director. Thought he was great in Inception. But like, a lot of the roles he played in, I felt he was good, solid. Even as a Scarecrow, solid.
Yeah.
But he didn't blow my mind until I watched Peaky Blinders. Yeah. And what's really interesting about him is like, take all the like the style and the acting and stuff like that, is he's not a physically intimidating guy. Physically, he's fairly skinny, like, but my God, he plays that role with intimidation. You don't mess with this guy. You just know he's a force to be reckoned with. He's intelligent. He's slick. And I was humming and hawing about getting these particular figures. And I was watching reviews there when they eventually come out, because like these big cheap studios have a massive habit of heavily delaying figures. Like I think their Doctor Who figures are heavily delayed and so on. But I really, really wanted Arthur and Tommy. And I nearly pulled the trigger, Peter, back in May. They were £300 each. That's a lot of money.
That's
Now,
Hot Toys, isn't it? I mean, your
more,
average Hot Toy now is 250, isn't it? So it's more than a
like
Hot Toy.
the collector editions of each of these is 260
Yeah,
pounds. The signature edition, which is 300 pounds, the Tommy and the Arthur, they're limited to 400 pieces, but they come with a tiny metal plaque. Well, it's about this big metal
yeah,
plaque, and it has like, this is to certify that this is the Big Chief Studio signature series signed by Killy Murphy, and on a marker,
yeah.
sure enough, it's his actual signature.
Wow.
Back in May, I had these two boys in the cart,
Yeah,
and I just went, Shane, you can't afford this right now. And it
yeah,
killed me, but I'm always preaching discipline, and I walked away. 2 weeks ago, I log into Big Chief Studio. I was away in Sri Lanka, and I just chilling out, come back from a day trip, and I was wrecked, and I was just pricking around the phone. Logged into Big Chief Studio, and seen they're doing a summer sale. They had them down to £130 each.
wow.
It was actually £160 each, but because I was buying them from Ireland, the extra 30 was VAT. So the
Oh, yeah,
two of
yeah,
these went into my cart for £260. I still had to pay customs, but essentially, because I exercised that patience, I got two for the price of
yeah,
one. And they're not perfect figures. The head sculpts, the likeness is there, but it's definitely soft. Big Chief
yeah,
Studio has a habit of doing plasticky style head sculpts. I get that they're made from plastics, but they shouldn't look like they're made from
yeah, yeah,
plastics.
yeah, yeah.
They're not perfect. The tailoring is good. It could be a little better, but they pop on the shelf.
Yeah.
They just look, there's just that kind of old style, and the kind of the old the dress, and the cut and sew, and the tailoring, and the little accessories like the smoking thing. I don't really
Yeah, yeah,
use these accessories. It looks really well.
yeah,
You got a fabric newsboy cap, you got a molded cap with both of them, swap out magnetic hair pieces. This one comes with like a Tommy gun, a handgun, a pocket watch, glasses. They're not great, but a tumbler with whiskey, his little gin bottle which says Shelby Company on it.
yeah,
The other lad comes with a cigar, like a baton, a knife, two different
yeah.
revolvers, a bottle of whiskey, another little. It's the accessories and stuff like that. I'm more impressed with them than I thought it would be, and it's fantastic. I've got his autograph now, and I'm blown away by that. I know
Yeah,
I'm going
yeah.
on. I know I'm going on. I just watched Oppenheimer. My fingers are crossed
Oh,
for this guy. I
yeah,
hope he's a future Oscar winner. But yeah, just like
yeah, absolutely. And I think the some of the, I know you don't necessarily get a lot of third party company figures, do you, Shane? You're predominantly Hot Toys. Is that fair?
um, I currently don't have any third party, but this isn't a third party. This is officially licensed.
This is officially licensed. Yeah,
Yeah, this is Big Chief Studios. So
yeah,
currently, I don't have any third party. I had two,
yeah.
but I've sold them on because better versions are coming out. Basically, like the
So
Bane was one. So
yeah, yeah, and that new version looks great.
yeah,
I've picked up quite a few third party figures because that's where I get some of the characters I enjoy, like comic
yeah,
accurate, versions and things like that. And sometimes the quality in them is stunning. And if I think back to the Mars Studio Batman 66 Joker, which has just recently been out, it is phenomenal. The figures. These ones, Big Chief Studio, I think they do the Star Trek line, don't they? Is that them that do the Star Trek?
that's XO6. I don't know the
Was that
Big Chief
X06, is it?
Studio do Star Trek. XO6
Okay.
definitely do Star Trek, but I can check now while I'm here.
Because I've been looking at some of those because I'm a big Trekkie. But some, like you say, some of the head sculpts just don't quite hit the mark. The Picard
That's
one,
XO6, I think. I think you're
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
XO6. Yeah.
But I think this looks stunning. And I think you mentioned the accessories there. I'm kind of a guy that puts a lot of the accessory. I've got a toolbox that I put the accessories in, kind of stuff. I use
Same.
very little. I use very little of the accessories. But as soon as I saw this image, I was immediately drawn to how good that cigarette looks. Do you know what I mean? It really does
Because
look
the
spot
thing
on.
is, Peter, like, I don't use electricity effects, whether they're like blue or yellow or
Yeah,
red. I just
this is
think
awesome.
that you take a beautiful, realistic figure with a realistic,
Yeah,
sculpt and paint apps and all the jazz, and then it immediately takes me out of it. There's very
yeah,
rarely I get an effect which I'm like, okay, that actually looks quite good. Like, I think the
yeah,
flamethrower
yeah.
effects on
On
the
my Mando, I
incinerator or the
quite like.
Mando looks pretty
Yeah,
damn good.
yeah,
But I saw the cigarette and I was like, I'm not going to use this. I popped in his mouth and I was like, that looks,
yeah,
because like even like my mate, who knew he was into collecting, but his words, I did not realize the extent of this,
Yeah,
because he came in, he saw
yeah,
like, he knows his channel, he know I collect and stuff
yeah.
like that, but he didn't realize. But he came in, he was like talking about the detail, and he was like, even the cigarette looks really really good, like the smoke on it. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Stunning.
it's
And I love
and
how
the
he got it
tailoring's good.
displayed there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks very, very cool. James T. Keegan is just saying here that it's an awesome character. His girlfriend's actually got a tattoo of him
Deadly.
on her leg. Yeah, very cool,
Yeah.
very cool. Ryan, 28 days. 28 days was a great watch. Yeah, I think they're making a follow-on. Apparently, they're talking about making it.
I
Is
heard
it
that
28 years?
28 years,
Yeah,
no,
that'll be,
would it
yeah,
be
I think so. That sounds very cool. Dr. Von Hoot, it's his body language and Peaky Blinders. It
100%.
makes him so wide. Yeah, he's very, very intimidating. And Shiny Shiny, I remember him from 28 Days Later. Yeah, love that movie. It's a very, very cool film. Love it. Okay, Shane, we're getting through. I'm sorry I've kept you a long time. Um, Advice. So this can be, I guess, sometimes people give advice on YouTube, but I guess I'm interested for you in terms of if someone is wanting to start collecting 1/6 scale figures, because as we've mentioned throughout this show, these are not cheap items, are they? You've got to have a little bit of money behind you. You've got to be disciplined, I think, is what you quite often
Hmm.
say. What advice would you give to someone who's just starting to dip the toe into the 1/6 scale world?
Oh, I'd say similar to my DIY advice. I'm not I recently bought a house, and I'm not a DIY expert, but there's certain things I'd be too embarrassed to get someone in to do. Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I've hung shelves, and I've hung curtain rails and mirrors and stuff like that. Like, but I'm not a DIY aficionado. So I'd watch a lot of YouTube and stuff like that and learn how to do everything right and making sure you're doing safety. But there's that phrase, measure twice, cut once, or measure
yeah,
twice, drill once. And I think that applies to 6 scale in a way. My advice would be, before you go pulling the trigger, before you go committing to buying something, before you go ordering stuff or buying things in Buy Sell Trade or eBay or Sideshow or whoever, do a brain dump, right?
yeah,
There's a great app called Google Keep. It's a free app. You can download it, and it's basically a checklist app. So you can have a shopping list and type in all the stuff you want. You can check them off as you go along. It's really, really handy. I use it for everything.
yeah,
Write down a list of all your favorite characters. Just literally do a brain dump and just keep that list open for a few weeks, whatever, and keep adding. You want to see a character in a movie you like, or maybe it's an old 80s science fiction movie, or whether it's a new MCU show, or whether it's like, like whoever, Oppenheimer, whatever.
yeah,
Just write them all in and then rank them. Like, literally you can slide them up and down for like 1, 2, 3, and keep doing that. And eventually you'll realize who your top 5 characters are like.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Because there will be a pattern, like, and
yeah,
they're the ones that you should go after first. Like,
yeah,
see what's on pre-order. Expect to have a bit of patience. Like, see what's on pre-order, because if you're pre-ordering something, you can get it at retail. Whereas if RoboCop, say, is your favorite figure, and you're going to go working backwards for, say, the RoboCop in the chair or the RoboCop 2-pack, you're going to spend an arm and a leg. Like, you're talking at least £500, maybe more. Some of those figures are priced on eBay at £1,000, people chancing their
yeah,
arm. Like, whereas if you do enough research, you realize, okay, there's one actually available for pre-order. It's for RoboCop 3. You make your peace with that and all, whatever. So do your brain dump, all the characters that you like, rank them in order of priority, what's important now. Focus on your top 3 to 5 and go, right, these are the ones that are important. See what's in stock at retail. Also, do not buy, figure out your customs. Watch. You don't
yeah,
have to
yeah.
listen to YouTubers. Watch
No.
the channels. Do your research. Figure out like which of the companies that you buy from you're going to be charged customs or import tax. If you're in Ireland or the UK and you're buying stuff, obviously UK is Ireland's, still in the EU, so
Yeah,
we import stuff over like worth over €100, something like that, from outside.
yeah,
We're subjected to import tax, and I
yeah,
presume you've got taxes to pay as well when
absolutely.
you
Yeah,
import
we're the
stuff.
same. Yeah,
So figure out which are the companies that, if you're going like Hong Kong, which companies you can buy from where you won't get caught for customs, like,
yeah,
because they're expensive figures. Shipping is expensive. It's never been as expensive, and then getting nailed with another like tax. So do your research like that. I think the worst thing you can do is you're going to find this excitement because you're going to see, oh my god, I really like that character, I love that movie, and it looks so realistic, the head sculpt's amazing, and the suit's very well designed, the articulation, look at the pose you can put it in. It's natural to kind of go, let the nostalgia carry you away, and the excitement and the
Yeah.
hype. And then if you're watching YouTubers and they're saying it's the greatest figure since sliced bread, I only review figures I like because I
Yeah.
only buy figures I like. So in a way that biases me a bit towards them. But when I reviewed that figure yesterday, I said straight out, the head sculpt is okay, it's the likeness is there, but it's a bit soft.
Yeah.
I said that the tailoring is good, but it could be better. The ankles are loose. So depending on who you watch, they could be telling you it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, don't miss out on this. You got to be a bit like, see the forest through the trees and stuff like that. And yeah, I definitely do the research, figure out who's the cheapest to buy from, but who is the, customer service and import and stuff like that. So there's, yeah.
That's superb advice, Shane. I think you're absolutely right. I think, and again, no disservice to anybody, but there are some, and everybody's different. Everybody's got different views, but there are some reviewers I watch, and I've looked at the figures myself, and I think I don't know what I'm missing here, because you're saying it's fantastic, and I'm not seeing that. Do you know what I mean? So I think that honesty is very, very important, and also, much like you say, you've got to be very aware, haven't you, of all of the add-on costs, because I got almost caught in on, again, a big company telling us that they had a sale and it was X percentage off. And when you look at it, the price looked fantastic. And then you factor in actually the shipping's through the roof, and then the customs. And actually, at the end of the day, it costs more than I can get it from, elsewhere. So yeah, customs over here is the same for you guys. It's shocking.
But have you ever ordered from Toys Buying Agent by any chance?
No. To be honest, I tend to buy predominantly from. There's a couple of guys on Facebook, who I tend to go through most. I don't.
Toys
I
on
bought
Fire?
once. Yeah, Toys on Fire I use a lot. I've
Jeremy
bought
Castle?
once. Yeah. I've bought once from Toys Wonderland, and I'll not do it again. And I pick up a few figures from eBay, to be honest, predominantly. So
The deals are there.
yeah, absolutely. Speaking of Toys Wonderland, this is a figure I got from them, but I know you've got it as well, and this is a stunning figure, I think. So tell me a little bit about your cable.
So this is one of the HM stands for honorable mentions, just so people are watching. Like, when I was living in Abu Dhabi, and I was living in the middle of nowhere. It wasn't the fancy Dubai or Abu Dhabi that you're probably used to seeing in Instagram and stuff like that. I was living in the middle of a desert, and I was studying at the time. And I remember the weekend I went to see Deadpool 2. I had a 5,000 word assignment due, and I had the bones of it done. I said, right, if I get this done, I'll go to Abu Dhabi and I'll watch this movie. And it was a long weekend and a lot of work, and eventually got it done and submitted. And I said, right, gonna go and stay in a nice hotel and go in and go to the mall, and the mall's really nice over there and stuff like that. And I really liked the first Deadpool movie. I was like, yeah, that's a bloody. I'm interested in this character now. Ryan Reynolds did a great job. It was funny, the action was great, the effects and everything solid. But I loved Deadpool 2. I thought Deadpool 2 took it to another level, and so I really have fond memories of seeing the movie anyway, because it was like you had that relief of getting the assignment finished, and you felt you'd earned your movie experience. I laughed my ass off. I went to see it next week then with friends, because I knew that I would laugh more at their reactions. Like, I was laughing on my own, but I knew I'd laugh more at their reactions. I love Josh Brolin, obviously, like, No Country for All Men, and then obviously great job with Thanos. But I thought the shape that he was in, like, it's hard to get in that shape anyway, but to get it the shape in his age, he was fucking shredded, like, And this type of figure, this type of character lends itself well to figures. Like, you got the slick haircut, you got the light up eye, the kind of biomechanical arm. You got the huge gun, you got the shotgun, the grenade launchers, a bunch of different belts and stuff like that. The poncho, the little teddy bear.
Yeah,
I love figures that come with a lot of accessories that you can pose with all those accessories, or a lot of them, but not make it look like you're trying to shoehorn them all in. Because you can pose him with the t-shirt, the vest, with all the kind of like cartridge and stuff, and like the little bombs, with the poncho, with the the gun, the BFG, which magnetic, it sticks onto the back.
Sticks the back. Yeah, the teddy bear.
The teddy bear, and just it's just like, this is. I've got him posed next to the Deadpool from Deadpool 2, and they're just yeah, it's skinny again. Like it has its issues. The sculpt is there. I see Josh Brolin there. I see Cable there. It's not like a 10 out of 10 by any means. The likeness is there, but it's not like it's not a 9 or a 10. I think maybe it's around
Yeah.
an 8. It is definitely
So
skinnier than the prototype, and its neck is longer. But you can pose that away. But the disadvantage is,
absolutely.
unfortunately, you can't really pose him topless. It would look weird.
So I was absolutely hyper for this figure because much like you, I loved the movie and I loved his performance. I thought he was perfect as Cable. 'Cause I'm a big New Mutants X Force fan from the comic book series. And then we started seeing the reviews of this figure, and they were very negative from a lot of areas. So I really did sit on it. And then Toys Wonderland had a massive percentage off, but didn't tell you in the small print it was because you were getting release 18 or something like that. So it was going to be like 3 yen before
The
you got
old
the figure.
18th batch, eh?
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, I decided to pick him up, and I absolutely love it. You're absolutely right. He's thinner.
Yeah.
Lots of people were saying, "Oh, when you take his clothes off, he looks weird." Who the hell's displaying him with his top off? Do you know what I mean? For me, the poncho look is stunning. The
Yeah.
magnetic gun. I think it's a very strong figure, and you can
To
get him for a
counter
good
that
price.
point, Peter, it's because it was advertised that you would be able to. I think
Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
thing. And I get you. Like that'd be I wouldn't leave him there for a long period of time with the top off it, even if he was a bit bigger. But I'd like having the option. I think that's it.
And I think it's fair to say you're right. He looks very thin, but I would say as well the actual sculpt of the techno-organic virus into the flesh on his body looks amazing. It
Yeah,
really
no,
does
that's a fair
look
point.
very, very cool and very detailed.
Fair point,
But
yeah.
yeah, good figure, I think. Yeah, stunning. I've got mine displayed in exactly the same way with the X top on. Amazing figure.
It's the contrast between the dark kind of maroon or red and the pop of the yellow just makes it like. I robbed this pose from Terry Smith. He does the how to be a poser thing, and it's a cheeky pose there. He's holding. I think he's holding his little unicorn there as well. I've often googled 1/6 scale red Vespa because from Deadpool 2, like I'd love to maybe put him on the back of a Vespa and just have Cable standing next by or something like that. But
it's a great figure. So I've got mine sat on my glass shelf, so his feet are kind of going to the shelf below with Cable and everyone behind him holding the unicorn. But what I managed to get him posed as before I moved him into the cabinet he's in at the moment, I've got the I don't know who makes it, but 1/6 scale Colossus from the movie from Deadpool.
No,
I don't think it's so. It's Toys Era maybe.
Yeah, you're right. I think yeah.
And I had Deadpool sat on Colossus's shoulders with his the legs crossed. It looked fantastic, but it's too tall. Yeah, stunning figure. Okay, Shane, I've kept you a long time tonight, so I want to just give you a massive thank you for joining. Tell a little bit about your channel, where people can find you, and what you've got coming up next.
First of all, thanks very much. I actually really appreciate that, because it's nice answering the questions as opposed to asking the questions.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate the invite, and just that it's nice to have a beer or two and just chill out and kind of be on autopilot a bit for a change. But I understand how the amount of organizing that goes into the streams, and you've got to keep an eye on the chat and all that. So massive thank you, and thanks to everyone in the in the chat as well who tuned in and contributed. So my own, you can follow me on Instagram. It's at 16figure focus, or on YouTube you can subscribe. It's at 16figure focus. Primarily the channel is all about collecting, the main focus being 1/6 scale collecting. So you lots of Hot Toys talk, lots of in art talk. Big Chief Studios now is in there as well. So it's kind of collecting movies, TV, pop culture, and but like it's not specifically Hot Toys, although it's very Hot Toys heavy. We do, like I said, we talk about like 1/6 scale Hot Toys, quarter scale in art, Big Chief Studios. We will reference, of course, third party and stuff like that. I could be talking about that Maverick figure yet. I just saw that.
That
I
looks
thought
nice.
I'm big Maverick fan. I wonder will they do the traditional pilot outfit there? But
yeah.
Look, I really appreciate if you check the channel. And if you like the content, definitely give us a subscribe. So yeah.
Superb. And I just want to tip of the hat to you, Shane, because I know when you first started your channel, when you first got monetized, you gave all of your kind of your channel revenue to a children's hospital, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a children's hospital. I was monetized on the 1st of August 2022, and Brandon Solid was the first person to drop a super chat, which is surreal, and it was $20. And I remember I had decided if I was lucky enough to get a super chat or any super chats, I'd make an announcement then. So he said, like, look, a lot of people supported me starting the channel. So obviously, a girlfriend, family, friends, other content creators, other collectors, and stuff like that. So, you know, when I hit the 1,000, I kind of said, for the rest of the year, if there's whatever it be, if it was $10, $20, it'll go to charity. So we made from the 1st of August to the 31st of December, we made $1,202, and that was donated in January to the Dublin Temple Street Children's Hospital. So yeah, it was just nice to kind of, I suppose, yeah, just take that and do that. And people were extremely generous. People, when they talk, when you hear it's going to children's hospital, people tend to get a lot more generous, as you can imagine, and people were very, very generous.
It was a great thing to do. So like I say, tip of the hat to you for that, because that's a lovely thing to do.
Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gents, I just want to say thank you to everybody that's been in the chat. You've been superb, so thank you so much. Please do make sure you go and check out Shane's channel, One Six Figure Focus. Make sure you give him a like and a subscribe. And if I can remind you that on Saturday night, over on the Attention Seeking Geeks channel, we've got Spider-Man 3, It's Not That Bad, with Ben and James T. Keegan. That's going to be an interesting one. It's a challenging film, that, so I'm not sure how James is going to defend it. So please do check that out on Saturday. And that's your whack. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining. It's been an absolute pleasure. If you've been watching and you're new to the channel and you'd like to take part in one of these shows, do drop us a line on Instagram. Always happy to talk to collectors and learn a little bit about them and their hobbies. Okay, Shane, been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, sir. And we'll call it a night there. So, night, everybody. Bye.